Once upon a time in the 1920s, the guilt of one man took down the greatest gangster of all time and renamed the Chicago airport. Anybody who was alive in the 1920s knew that Al Capone was absolutely untouchable. He was a gangster who had come to power and prominence after Prohibition, and his social and legal influence was so great that he could commit murders in broad daylight and never be charged, simply because no witnesses would ever come forward. At his right hand on the legal side was a man who went by Easy Eddie. Easy Eddie was a very smart guy, a very tough lawyer, and for many years had Capone's back. But Easy Eddie also had a son, and as his son got older, he was often asking his father about what he was doing for a living. Eddie over time began to realize that eventually one day his son would come to figure out the truth of who his father really was. This led to the moral epiphany that he could no longer back this man Capone. So then in 1930, Easy Eddie decided to cooperate in the RICO case that finally brought Capone behind bars. Eddie absolutely knew that by hell or high water this testimony was going to lead to his death. And in 1939, while driving in a Lincoln Zephyr coupe, he was shot to death by a .32 caliber semi-automatic pistol, leaving behind his son Butch, who was now 25 years old and serving in the military. But Butch was not just a regular soldier. He was a naval aviator. You had to imagine that the courage it took from Eddie to face death was passed down to his son, because a couple of years later during World War II, Butch shot down 5 enemy bombers of the Japanese while saving his other pilots and unfortunately perishing, and his aircraft was never found. He was the first naval aviator to receive the Medal of Honor. Eddie's full name was Edward O'Hare, and on September 19, 1949, the Chicago O'Hare Airport was given its name in honor of this great veteran. You gotta wonder, if Easy Eddie had never cooperated and turned in Capone, how much longer would Capone's reign have been? Would Butch actually have had the guts to do what he did? Would they both be alive, but one of them in prison? Either way, it's an insane story, and Christopher Nolan needs to make a movie about it. Anyways, until next time, let me know if you guys need anything.